Have you ever felt like your own worst enemy? Or stopped to ponder the constant chatter in your mind? That inner dialogue that seems to never cease, shaping our perceptions, decisions, and ultimately our reality. Our minds, on average, have up to 60,000 thoughts per day, and when left unchecked, results in us constantly living with a crowd of chatter in our minds. Imagine you're going about your day, seemingly in control, but there's a persistent voice in the back of your mind, whispering doubts, fears, and criticisms. Maybe you don't need to imagine this, because you live this experience every day, like a never-ending storm cloud, casting shadows over your thoughts and actions. If you can remember a time when you found yourself trapped in a cycle of negative self-talk, where every decision felt weighed down by self-doubt, every failure amplified by self-criticism, then you may find this video helpful, because until we learn to confront and manage our inner voice, we will struggle to reclaim control of our lives. Today, we'll stroll through the depths of the mind and explore the dark side of our inner voice, share practical strategies for managing its influence, and ultimately, discover the power of self-compassion and other important tools in shaping our inner narrative. Because after all, our inner voice is the one shaping and writing the novel of our life. How do you want it to be written? Our inner voice isn't always our best friend. In fact, it can be downright cruel at times. From self-doubt to relentless criticism, our minds can become battlegrounds of negativity. Think back to a time when your inner critic was at its loudest. Maybe it was when you were about to take on a new challenge or pursue a dream or important goal. Maybe the inner critic made you question your ability to do something you know you're good at. The voices of culture influence our parents' inner voices, which in turn influence our own, and so on through many cultures and generations that combine to tune our minds. As Ethan Kross, a leading psychologist, aptly puts it, our inner voice is a product of our upbringing, environment, and societal norms, and it's a cycle that can be difficult to break free from. It has been said that self-talk reflects your innermost feelings, but where do these destructive thoughts come from? Negative self-talk comes in many forms, each with its own unpleasant effects on our mental well-being. One of the most common forms is self-doubt, those nagging thoughts that whisper, "You're not good enough," or "You'll never succeed." These thoughts can chip away at our confidence, leaving us feeling paralyzed and incapable of taking action. Do you find yourself comparing aspects of yourself and your life during dark moments? In today's hyper-connected world, it's all too easy to compare ourselves to others, whether it's their achievements, appearance, or success. But this comparison game only serves to undermine our sense of self-worth, as we constantly measure ourselves against impossible standards, or fail to realize the smiles and success that we see on screens do not show us the hidden imperfections behind the scenes. The subconscious mind is highly susceptible to suggestion, meaning the repetitive negative self-talk can reinforce these limiting self-imposed beliefs and thus hinder our personal growth and success. As Louise L. Hay once said, "You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try approving of yourself and see what happens." The good news is that negative self-talk doesn't materialize out of thin air. It's often deeply rooted in our past experiences and the influences of our environment. A childhood filled with criticism or neglect may often result in a harsh and critical inner voice, while a nurturing and supportive environment can bring out a more compassionate and positive self-image. Buddha was onto something when he mused, "Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts." And so, we have to ask ourselves, am I my own worst enemy? And if I am, how do I change that? But fear not, for there are tools and techniques to tame the beast within. If you've found yourself asking questions like, how can I be kinder towards myself? Or is there a way to manage the dark voice in my mind? Then you're already on the path of improvement and growth. Addressing and managing our inner voice isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about nurturing your mental well-being and allowing yourself to feel that you deserve personal growth. It's about recognizing that the way we talk to ourselves matters. And luckily, there are 5 powerful tools that have aided many fellow travelers walking the same path as you. The practice of mindfulness involves bringing our attention to the present moment without judgment. By tuning into our thoughts and feelings with awareness, we can gain insight into the patterns of our inner dialogue. Take a moment to focus on your breath. Notice the rise and fall of each inhale and exhale. With each breath, let go of the chatter in your mind and simply be. Another powerful technique is to engage our senses fully. Take a moment to look around and notice the colors, shapes, and textures in your environment. Listen to the sounds around you, from the rustling of leaves to the hum of traffic, and let that sound fill your mind, washing away the chatter. Feel the ground beneath your feet and the air against your skin. By grounding ourselves in the present moment, we can shift our attention away from our negative thoughts. One of the most transformative practices is to become present with our inner voice. Treat yourself as you would treat your best friend. Imagine your inner dialogue as a conversation with a trusted companion. Would you speak to them with the same harshness and criticism? Probably not. So why do we do it to ourselves? Another effective practice is to express gratitude to others. Take the time to thank the people in your life who have supported, encouraged, or inspired you. Whether it's a heartfelt thank you, a phone call, or a simple act of kindness, expressing gratitude not only strengthens your relationships, but also uplifts your own spirits. Do you look at yourself with the same kindness and compassion as the ones you love? Compassionate self-talk involves speaking to ourselves with love, especially during times of difficulty or self-doubt. By replacing harsh self-criticism with compassionate self-talk, we can counteract negative thoughts and cultivate a kinder, more supportive inner voice. It may seem silly, but when you actively change the way you speak to yourself, you begin to feel the difference. Replace the words of doubt and criticism with a few kind words or affirmations like, "I am worthy of love and acceptance, just as I am. I am doing the best I can with what I have, and that is enough." It's also important to remember that without judgment, it would be impossible to navigate life safely. Judgment is not inherently bad, as it saves us from eating spoiled food or getting into a stranger's car. But what happens when our natural instinct has been turned against us? And how do we break the relentless cycle of self-doubt and negative thoughts? In life, challenges and setbacks are inevitable. However, it's our resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity, that determines our ability to thrive in the face of adversity. And you might ask yourself, but how do I find something positive when I feel so tired or powerless? Don't fret, we have good news. The very meaning of resilience is an occurrence of rebounding or springing back, the physical property of a material that can return to its original shape. So without stress and hardship, we could never be resilient in the first place. Just like courage, without a challenge, we could never be brave or strong. Our inner voice wields immense power over our lives, shaping our perceptions, decisions, and ultimately, our reality. There is also a certain sense of irony because in order to build a better foundation, you often have to demolish old structures that were blocking the light from entering your mind. To learn kindness for oneself is to destroy what was once holding you back, what was once keeping you in the trenches. The vicious cycle of negative self-talk is a hole that many of us fall into without realizing it. The more we indulge in these thoughts, the more they reinforce our insecurities and fears, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of negativity. It's like a never-ending loop, where each negative thought feeds into the next until we're consumed by despair. Today, we've explored the dark side of our inner dialogue and uncovered practical strategies for managing it. From practicing mindfulness to nurturing self-compassion, we've learned that mastering the inner dialogue is not only just about personal growth, but an act of profound self-love. But keep in mind, this is not a battle or a war. It is a journey. Take small steps towards nurturing self-compassion, challenging your negative self-talk, and growing resilience. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. There is love, always and abundant. See you soon, curious soul.